Johns Creek is absolutely the exception. Absolutely the exception. We've got great schools, we've got great public safety. I think that we continue in that mission by doing things that keep us at the cutting edge or ahead of. And we do that by supporting our industry sectors like health and wellness, technology. All of these things will keep us, maintain that distinction of us being the exception.
Okay, stay there. What is a project or task that you spearheaded that showcases your work ethic?
Well, the most recent, I am an economic developer, and I took a directorship for an economic development company in the state of Alabama. I do work both in Georgia and in Alabama, and I'm very proud to have restructured the company such that the business resiliency arm of what they do to build businesses in Alabama inured to funding from Regions Bank and SBA and a new partnership with the state of Alabama. And I think that given the times, given what we're facing at the national level with recessions, we have to be doing all that we can to help small business owners as well as businesses that have been around for a long time, and it's just, whether it's family owned or 5 or less employees, we have to be doing everything that we can to keep them solvent and strong. And so I'm very proud of the work that I've been doing in that area.
Okay, Stacy, what is a project or task you spearheaded that showcases your work ethic?
Wow, geez, I would say perhaps the stormwater credit that the additional stormwater credit would be the most recent one, because that was a lot of work to try to get that for our large property owners in Johns Creek so as to not penalize them for having more pervious space than impervious space. So I think that would probably be the most recent, but one of the biggest would honestly be improving our special events in Rivermont. I think we were dead, it was dying, like we did like 2 events a year, and then we really revamped it and really tried to build a sense of community by offering a variety of special events to get people out and involved and engaged and knowing their neighbors. I think that's what I'm most proud of, but the most recent would be probably the stormwater credit.
Okay. Stacy, what is your plan to better visually advise of and promote the fact that motorists are entering the city of Johns Creek on major roadways?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the beginning.
What is your plan to better visually advise of and promote the fact that motorists are entering the city of Johns Creek on major roadways? Obviously, some people don't like what the CDB did.
The gateway market. Okay, that's where I thought you were going. The city came back to us, especially around the town center area, with, they weren't called gateway markers, but in essence that's what they were. They're expensive. So they had a price tag. I think the cheaper ones were $1 million, and for the bridge that one of the council members wanted, or similar to Peachtree Corners, would have been way more than that. If we were going to do something, which now is not the time, we don't have the money for it, it should not be a priority. Definitely not something that the city right down the same road has, in my opinion. It should have been something unique and custom to Johns Creek, but I think everybody knows it's Johns Creek. They're going to know when Medley comes, when Creekside Park is done. I'm not a huge fan at all of the current CVB gateway markers. I think they could use some improvement, but again, it all boils down to priorities. These are all great things to have, but right now we're having a problem funding what we need. So we need to work on our needs, or prioritize and fund our needs before we do our wants.
Okay. Devon, what is your plan to better visually advise of and promote the fact that motorists are entering the city of Johns Creek on major highways?
I think we've got to go big, and I think that it does require something that is beautiful. Not to sound like a former president, but something beautiful, something grand that says this is Johns Creek, the most diverse city. One richest cities. When we talk about funding projects, this is where I really do my thing. It's not always about paying for things from the city's coffers. I mean, we got a great marketing plan. They're one of the richest cities, most diverse city, safest city. There are corporations that are salivating to get on board. It's not just about stadiums and buildings. I know that there are some corporations out there that would love naming rights to arches and to sculptural structures that signify you have come to Johns Creek. And so one of the things that I would want to do from a creative policy perspective would be to work with different artists, architects, and creatives, both locally and internationally, to come up with some kind of beautifying feature, and then also working with different corporations to see if they'd be interested in underwriting it. We gotta try things, gotta shake it up a little bit.
Stay right there.
Yes, sir.
What work experience qualifies you to serve on the city council?
Well, I think my academic background in public policy, I have a background in economic development as well as governance. I work as an economic developer. I work with many organizations, and when you do that, it requires you to both create policy and then to look at existing policy. This includes analyzing what's been done. Is this working? If it's not working, why would we keep doing it? Is there a better way forward? And so I ask a lot of questions, but I got a big brave heart too. And I didn't come from much, but the way I was raised, I just wasn't taught to see limitations. So if there's a need, there's a response, there's an answer, there's a way to get something done. So yes, I have formal training. I work on policy stuff every day, but I think it's my creative knack and my not taking no for an answer. We can do big things if we're just willing to try. If we're willing to look at other ways of funding, if we're willing to reach out and ask folks who are experts in things. And so that's what I would bring to council. That's what I would bring to our city.
All right, Stacy, what work experience qualifies you to serve on city council?
So previously, I grew up working for the court system in Gwinnett County. I worked for the administrative office of the courts. I was a director by the time I was 21 years old. And then I went on, because I was working on my undergrad, to work for a superior court judge. That gave me the experience that I needed working for government, I'm telling you. It was great. You were around so many people, and you had to know how to deal with those certain personalities when I worked for an elected official. So I think that helps me because it gives me the benefit of seeing how it was working for the government and now when staff's working for us. But just as impactful, in all honesty, was serving on the Rivermont board. I think if you can do the Rivermont board, you can do anything. And it's such a large and also diverse community. So we have the same kind of issues here, just on a little bit smaller scale. The people here may be a little bit louder, though. I gotta be honest, in Rivermont. They're a lot more vocal when they don't like something. Thank you.
All right, Stacy. So this addresses each of you, and you'll each get a chance to talk to it. Looking at your individual voting records, we've seen that Stacy votes Republican Conservative, and Dabney has voted Democratic and Liberal. Please explain your records and why either of those are in the best interest of Johns Creek constituents.
Sure. So one thing, since this is a nonpartisan race, that was important to me, especially living in such a diverse neighborhood that I do. I wanted people to get to know me for me before they knew what party I affiliated with. Because there is a stereotype depending on what you say. And I didn't want people to automatically shut me out because they knew I had different values or voted a different way than they did. So I think, to answer that question, since you just outed me, I believe in small government. I believe in local control. I do have conservative values, yes. That doesn't mean I check all those boxes, that doesn't mean that I don't see things from other people's perspective. And again, they choose, those two parties are the ones that make us have to check a box each time. But in general, there are things I agree with on the left, there are things I agree with on the right. And I want us to find our common, what we have in common. And yes, my values are conservative, and yes, I want small government, and yes, I'm a fiscal conservative. But I think instead of focusing on that in a nonpartisan race, I want to focus what we can do for Johns Creek and what we can do together. And I think my voting record speaks to the fact that I want your input, and I want you to have local control, and I want us to be fiscally responsible.
I'm an African American, 7+ generations from my matriarchal line in the South. Black folks vote Democrat. 2008 through 2016, world calm fire. I'm 43 years old. You look around, and some of the things that you value or that you have supported, sometimes they don't resonate. And so in recent years, I have not switched from one party to another, but I identify as an independent. As I said, Southern raising, Pentecostal. I'm conservative. My family is conservative. We believe in family values. We believe in holding our integrity. And so, yes, my voting record shows that I vote Democrat and voted Democrat and voted liberally. And I'm not here to explain that away. I'm here to talk about, obviously, what I will do as a council person for the city, as an independent person, as an independent thinker. You know, and I keep bringing up public safety because it wasn't too long ago that I was on the other side of this argument. But like I say, you wake up and you come to understand life a little bit differently. You come to see that certain things that have been persisting and going on, they no longer work, and you got to make some changes. And I think the work that I've done in this town, the bridges that I've been working to build, the people that I sit down with, the rooms that I go into, I think they prove the values that I was raised under, irrespective of a voting record.
Stay right there, Devon. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the last question, but after this, we're each going to give each of them 5 minutes to wrap. And then, after that's done, I'm going to ask you to do something I've been telling you not to do. Okay? All right, Devon. How can we get a legacy center in Johns Creek?
We get it by paying for it. You know, we get it by figuring out the best way to get that done. I don't have a response to that. I don't have an answer to that. I don't know what the best way to do that is. What I can tell you, though, is that I'm listening, I'm learning, and I put it back on all of you. You tell me what you want. God willing, you give me your vote. You tell me. You want the legacy center. We don't. We don't want the millage rate to go up in order to pay for it. You have to say what you want.
Okay, Stacy. How can we get a legacy center in Johns Creek?
There is a lottery tonight, I think. It's going to $1 billion. The Legacy Center. So $100 million was the last estimate that I have heard. How we get that, in my opinion, is by doing it in phases. So it's a 3-component, multi-purpose, performing arts hall, banquet hall, and the arts center. You gotta start small. You gotta do something to show you have skin in the game. And then we can go out there and we can raise funds and try to get a private partner. But there's no way, I can promise you, that the residents of Johns Creek want to pay for a $100 million bond for a legacy center when we have $100 million in park update improvements that were recommended from our park update plan that we just just completed. That would be $200 million of, yes, there's no way the residents are going to want that. So I think we start small and we raise funds. We get a partner to make that happen.
Stay right there. We're going to reverse the order from the beginning. So Stacy, you've got 5 minutes here to wrap up, and why you?
So thank you for the opportunity, and I'm always open to hearing from you, and I just want you to know, I hope I've earned your trust, I hope I've earned your confidence. What you see is what you get. I will put in the work and the effort, and I will do my best for the residents of Johns Creek. I don't have anything to gain from this, I just have a calling to serve. Trust me, it does not pay much. Yes, there are a lot of things we can be doing with our time, but I love it, and you have to do what you love. And my husband was so supportive because I was like, do you mind working side jobs? Because I really love what I do, even though I can't financially contribute. And it's just, I want more people like me. I want people like me to get involved that really don't have something that they're going to gain from it. They just want to do the right thing. And maybe people like me, if we keep electing them, the country will be in a whole other place. So I just humbly ask for your vote, and I appreciate you being here and even hearing me and giving me an opportunity. And I thank my opponent. I think it's hard to run for office. And I really commend her for putting herself out there like that. It's even harder to run against an incumbent. So thank you for being here today.
I want to thank everybody for coming out. I want to thank you for giving me an opportunity to share with you my vision for Johns Creek, what I intend to do. Should you give me the opportunity to serve you, because that's what it is. What I can promise you is that it will be a continuation of what I have been doing, and not for money. Every organization that I've been a part, whether as a founder, as a board member, or just a member in general, I'm always bringing my ideas. I'm always bringing thoughtful ways to get things done, to bring people together. One of the things that I'm really proud of, an organization that we founded, unfortunately, there was a bit of an insurgency, and so we weren't able to do what we wanted to do with that. But the goal was unity. It was about bringing folks together. And I was really proud because we did a jazz festival, and it was during election season. And I'll always remember this because my business partner was a very good Democrat, and so she had invited all of her folks. And I said, if we're going to really pursue this thing about unity, it's taking the temperature down. Do you have any Republican friends that you can invite? Because I think they like jazz too. And so what I'm saying is everything that I do will be guided by bringing us together, taking the temperature down, using thoughtful, creative ways to get things funded. I brought some business cards. They've got my personal phone number on there. You can call me or text me anytime. You can ask me anything you want. Hold me accountable. And I pride myself in saying the same thing in every room that I go into. And so if you ever hear me say something and it disagrees with anything else that you've heard, please pick up your phone. Please text me. Please call me. Hold me accountable. That's the thing. You want good governance, you want good leadership, it starts with accountability. And only the citizens can do that. Both of us, we can sit here, we can tell you any old kind of thing. We can do that. But the truth of who we are is going to be made manifest in the actions that we take. And then in addition to that, the truth of who we are is going to be in how we respond to the challenges that you make toward us. I'm not going to always say or do everything right, but I promise you, I'll stand 10 toes down, as the kids say, as the military folks say, and I'll own it. I'll own it. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to snow you. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my best to ensure that we remain the exception. And where I come from, which is Texas, they say you want something from somebody, you ask them. And so if anything that I have said has resonated with you tonight, I humbly ask for your vote, and I promise you to do the very best that you elect me to do. I give you warm thanks. thanks again for being here and wish the blessings of God on you. And with that, thank you once again.
Stay with me 1 second here. I want to thank all of you for coming. We have to thank Mr. Cupid and his generosity for allowing us to come and hold this here. Normally where we would go is Medlock Bridge, and that clubhouse is under reconstruction, so we can't go there. More importantly, thank you all for participating in an old process. We went back in time tonight. This is how the country started in the beginning. There was no newspapers. There were no internet. It wasn't TV. It wasn't radio. How did you find out who was running and what they were about? Each of these people, you got to give them a big hand because they put this up, all questions. 33 questions tonight. We had 33 questions. That's not normal, and it was all from you. Also, within 24 hours, hopefully 48 hours, on MB Debate Series, the YouTube channel, this video will be up. We're going to send a link to both candidates so they can put it out on their website, but you can share it with friends. We do not endorse anybody and never will. We believe you have the gray matter, as you proved tonight by your questions, to tell the difference. But what you need is a forum where you can compare and contrast. I thank you again. This is the 9th year we've been doing this, and I think it's the best way to find out who's running. Thank you again.